Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. My name is Norma Schönherr. I'm Manager for Sustainability Partnerships at Lenzing, and I'll be your host for this session on our just published Sustainability Report 2024. We are thrilled to have you with us today. And to start things off, let me give you a brief introduction to Lenzing. As you may know, we are a fiber manufacturer headquartered in Austria. I think we are still the only manufacturer globally of man-made cellulosic fibers who produces all three generations of fibers, including viscose, modal, and lyocell. You may also know those under our brand names, Tencel and Ecovero in the textile industry, ViuCell in nonwovens applications, and Lenzing for industrial and technical textile applications. We are a company that has the ambition to be both a sustainability and an innovation leader in the industries that we serve. And we do place high value on collaborating with stakeholders and value chain partners like you to bring forward our industries to a future that is both sustainable and provides high performance solutions for all of our value chains. Today, we are thrilled to give you an overview of the highlights and the progress we've made on those two topics in 2024. We have three wonderful speakers with us who will guide you through the contents. That is Dr. Krishna Manda, our Vice President Corporate Sustainability, and two topical experts, Thomas Martitz for Product Sustainability and Kerstin Zimmermann for Social Sustainability. Before we jump in, let me just make a few housekeeping comments to start with. We have a Q&A function enabled in this webinar, so please feel free to post any comments, any questions as they occur to you throughout the presentations in that space, and we will do our best to tackle all of them at the end of this webinar. Also, you might want to keep your mobile devices ready, because we are also keen to hear from you. Throughout the presentations, you will find little interactive audience polls where we'll ask for your input and your perspective on some selected topics. So we would be really thrilled to hear from you. Please be ready to scan the QR code or use the links that we'll provide in the Q&A section. So without further ado, we also will record the session and share all of the information with you after this session. Final comment, and now without further ado, I'm thrilled to hand the floor to Krishna, who will give you an introduction into our high-level overview of sustainability issues and highlights for 2024. Krishna, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Norma, for the kind introduction. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Before I actually invite you to our webinar and the content, I would also like to actually bring your whole person to the webinar. I know you might be doing so many other things and join the webinar at the end of the day for some of you and beginning of the day. So I would like to gently get you into our webinar by starting with a simple breath work. I would like you to join me in doing 5 deeper breaths. So we inhale with the nose and exhale with the mouth, and try to keep the exhale longer. So I will make a sign so you can see when I'm inhaling and when I'm exhaling. So I invite you to be part of with me on the breath exercise. Yeah, I'm starting now. Thank you for joining with me. I hope you could bring yourself completely to the webinar now. So I welcome you and relax and enjoy the webinar. Um, Before I jump into the report and all the results that we have been achieving, I would like to also give you the context and set the scene for under what conditions we were operating for this new report. So Norma, next slide, please. So we would like to give you a brief overview that the standards in Europe became mandatory with the European Sustainability Reporting Standard (ESRS), and this is also coming with a lot of data points, around 800 to 1,000. So at the end of the day, if you ask me what does it mean for a company, so most companies have to report at least 40 to 50% more than the last year. So there is a lot of data disclosure need to be done, data points. And also you see on the right side, just an example, climate change has at least around more than 200 data points required for reporting for the ESRS. So you understand now the big picture is that the companies that are required to do, they have quite an amount of work to do compared to the last year. So next slide. Um, so this brings to all the people who are actually driving this work in a company like Lenzing, and also you know how it is done in your companies as well. So I would like to thank the cross-functional teams that are involved in all these efforts. And you know, report is actually sustainability report is a progress report of the year and the disclosure on the most material topics and which are relevant for many of our stakeholders. And the way we actually do this is we integrate sustainability in our different business functions in their day-to-day work. So all the effort that gone into sustainability report is also the sustainability work during the year with this cross-functional team effort across the whole group. So I do know there is no one department or one person who can make this report happen without that kind of hard work throughout the year. So despite that, and I would like to acknowledge a few people. I would like to first sincerely thank my colleague and recognize Laura Baum for actually managing this project very well, with a lot of blood and sweat in the whole year, with working with many functions that you see on the slide. But also I would like to thank the corporate sustainability team driving behind so many topics along with other functions on different topics. So many more I cannot mention, but there are so many contributions from different functions. Thank you all for keeping this work going and also bringing industry leadership of Lenzing. So the next slide tells you because of the, sorry, yeah, next, please. So because of this cross-functional effort across all these departments and functions, we could actually achieve fantastic results in some of the areas and also got external recognition such as CDP A-list for climate. And many people may not be aware, CDP actually expects you to integrate climate topics into strategy, governance, risk, operations, R&D, so all aspects. So this is a huge work behind. So we have been integrating that. And in the last, I think consecutively in the last four years, we are having a CDP Climate A rating. And we also have EcoVadis in the last few years, also top 1%. And we got Canopy #1 rank as well during 2024. So again, all this because of that cross-functional effort and also driving, integrating sustainability in different business functions. So next slide. I also wanted to just briefly give you some of the key indicators and the progress we have made. You can see the first one is that we have reduced our absolute greenhouse gas emissions for all scope 1 to 3 around 11%, while growing the company by 40% production volume. This is not a easy feat while growing. However, we also wanted to do even better in the future. So, but we are thankful for making this progress, and we will keep doing more in the future as well. And the other topics such as sulfur emissions, we have invested around 150 million in our Indonesian facility, and which also brought most of the reduction and also led to EU eco label there. I mean, there are only a few companies in the world with the EU eco label, and all our facilities have EU eco label. And this has added our Indonesian facility to the Ecovero Viscose, VSL Viscose portfolio in 2024. And 100% of our wood and pulp comes from certified and controlled sources. So you see, the last indicator I want to talk about is that the Lenzing has products which have better sustainability benefits than the generic averages in the market. And this product portfolio consists of more than 90% of the revenues for Lenzing. So we are actually continuously growing this portfolio by strategically investing in improving ourselves, like as I mentioned, about 150 million in the Indonesian facility, which is a huge achievement for us. And also, if you go to the next slide, I would also like to just mention a few other things here. You know, in the case of strategically, we are actually improving ourselves on biodiversity with an approach and an action plan. And also we have launched some product categories in the non-wovens, such as our expanded that for lyocell dry fiber, which allows the non-woven customers to make 100% bio-based and biodegradable applications to help them actually also meet single-use plastics directive related challenges. So that is one thing. But on the other hand, if you look at on the climate side, there are so many improvements we are doing. For example, we bought a biomass boiler in Austria, and we also moved from coal to natural gas in LNF, and it's still going on that transition. And all this also costed us like 20 million each on the two things I have mentioned right now. And we are continuously working with our top key suppliers on the pulp and the chemicals, which are contributing to our scope 3 reduction. And this, because of this partnership, also Lenzing is also moving forward. That is very important for us, and we want to thank our partners in this area. And the other thing about social and stakeholder engagement, you know, we have been improving ourselves on the social aspects, whether it's labor, human rights or labor conditions and those with FSLM and those implementations, but also to provide equal opportunities for employees, diverse employees, and improve the resilience of the company. We are trying to understand what are the barriers that are actually stopping to bring the best version. So we have also employee resource groups in the company. There is a lot to be done there, but still we are proud that we have started the journey and going on. And we are engaging with many stakeholders and industry associations to move the needle of the industry. And we are also investing in circularity with our partners and working to improve ourselves on different areas. So basically, these are the very, very high level key insights from the 2024 report. And I would invite you to look into that more into details later. Next slide, please. So the foundation for all this progress is because of our sustainability strategy and the concrete targets that we have set for ourselves. So the sustainability strategy gives you a very high level overview that we have 3 strategic principles: greening the value chain, advancing circularity, and driving systemic change. Within those 3 pillars, we have 7 focus areas, and all those focus areas contributing at the end of the day, improving the sustainable development goals for the society and the world. And the focus areas like decarbonization, we will look into that more details, but this is the strategy that is actually helping us to make the progress. Next slide. So here we talk about the concrete targets with time bound, and also the measures that we wanted to achieve in as a milestone, so that many companies may have a target for 2030 or something, but sometimes they don't have any intermediate targets. That means we need to actually make ourselves accountable. That's why we have created also underneath all these targets, intermediate milestones, so that we can measure our progress and make ourselves accountable. And all these targets and measures have a sustainability roadmap behind it, with concrete governance of sponsor from the executive board and a lead and a owner. And we have a quarterly meeting with all these different target owners to understand the progress, but also we bring that progress to the ESG committees with the executive board and the supervisory board level. Next slide, please. So here you see that, so in a quarterly basis, we bring our sustainability agenda and also the targets progress to the managing board on a quarterly basis. And on a half-yearly basis, we work with our supervisory board also to advance the sustainability agenda. Not only that, sustainability is an integral part of our business strategy and a part of our goals, like financial goals like EBITDA and those kind of things. But at the same time, we have also created incentives for our top management so that the progress is linked to their bonuses, the long-term incentive, and the topics that are linked to that long-term incentive are shown: circularity, climate, and proportion of women in the leading positions. So by this way, we are making ourselves accountable and making the progress. Next slide. So here I would like to share with you that transparency and traceability are two sides of the same coin. All the efforts we take to reduce the impact and make fibers traceable serve our customers to meet their goals and also reduce their risk. So we take this work very seriously because we are serving our customers. So under transparency, we are actually going to look at all the efforts in the sourcing, in the operations, in offering the product with life cycle assessment, and those that comes under the transparency in terms of these impacts that helps you make decisions, better decisions by our customers. And the traceability is providing the ability to actually know proof of origin of your product, which comes with certain impact, right? So you have a product from this facility and you have an impact linked to that facility. If you can join that together, the picture is full. So we are working towards that kind of full picture to give to our customers. And my colleagues will take you through all the efforts we put into these areas. And just to give you a high level, we are working with the blockchain inspired fiber coins with the textile genesis, and we have been working with more than 2,000 partners in this area. And we are also improving on many things like e-branding services every year on a good growth path. So I would say with this, I would ask you to pay attention to what my colleagues will bring on these areas. I gave you a very high level overview. So with this, I invite Norma to take it back from me.
Thank you very much, Krishna. As mentioned, we have two topic experts joining us today who will give us selected updates and deep dives on our material topics. We'll be starting in a minute with one topic that I think drives many of us and keeps us up at night sometimes, which is climate change. But before we move on to that, and Thomas takes over the session, I would just like to invite you to share what your biggest challenges are in reducing your carbon footprint on the product or company level. Please use the QR code that is now visible on your screen, or the link that my colleague will share in the frequently asked, in the Q&A section. We're very much looking forward to hear what your biggest challenges are at the moment. I'll give you a minute to log on and submit your responses. Okay, traceability and transparency. Apparently you hit a nerve there, Krishna. Other responses coming in now. Thank you for sharing. Management commitment. very important basis. Data and cost are becoming the two big words in this word cloud right now. Thomas, I think we also struggle with both of those. All right, data becomes the central word in our word cloud. Please feel free to share some more of your answers. Metrics and return on investment. Yes, also a big issue. Uncertainty also shows up. So very interesting responses here, and data remains our central challenge. I would give the floor to Thomas now to explain how we view this challenge and how we have tried to make progress in the past year. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Norma, and also Krishna for so nicely setting the scene. Good morning, good afternoon from my side as well. Happy to present you an update on the Lenzing activities, as mentioned, to one of the probably most pressing topics for the time being, climate change. The challenges mentioned pretty much align with also the challenges we face and we try to tackle, with data being indeed one of the central elements when it comes to greenhouse gas accounting, reporting, setting targets, and also eventually reducing those greenhouse gas emissions. So the basic requirement, which I want to kick off this topic here, is to really understand where your emissions come from, which means to thoroughly monitor, measure, calculate your emissions, not only of your own operations, but also in your supply and value chain. For the Lenzing Group in 2024, the carbon emissions mainly came from so-called Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, which refer to the emissions generated on-site or from purchased energy, which makes up around half the emissions, 53% to be precise. And the remaining emissions in Scope 3, which then refer to the indirect emissions that also happen in the external value chain, make up around 47% in Lenzing in 2024, which predominantly comes from purchased goods and services and also transportation activities. And as mentioned in the beginning, we have been successfully reducing the absolute greenhouse gas emissions in Scope 1, 2, and 3 from a 2021 baseline by 11%, whilst growing the production output of by more than 40%. And I want to emphasize the importance of reducing absolute greenhouse gas emissions, which is crucial to limit the global average temperature increase to a 1.5 degree scenario, which is the central concept of so-called science-based targets initiative. And we can see this on the next slide, that Lenzing has been the first cellulosic fiber producer to get a validated, but also an approved science-based target within this 1.5 degrees Celsius alignment. In this context, we have defined two targets, one for the near term to reduce Scope 1 and 2 emissions by 42% and Scope 3 emissions by 25% until 2030 from a 2021 baseline. And the second target was defined as a long-term net zero target, which means to have at least 90% reduction of absolute greenhouse gas emissions until 2050, also from a 2021 baseline. So to get there, we did not only define the climate target, but also accompanying measures and projects to achieve those reductions. A central part of that is that we have defined a so-called climate action plan that sets out specific measures and hotspots to tackle and to reduce the targets. We can move to the next slide to look at some elements of this climate action plan, which is actually publicly available. We cordially invite you to have a look at it and make you familiar with all the elements that are covered under this climate action plan. For example, procuring renewable grid electricity, which is currently happening at 6 production facilities in the Lenzing group. But we also transition to increase the renewable energy share by purchasing, for example, biomass power plants. And this is true for the own operations. And as mentioned, around half the emissions come from the supply chain. So we have an increase in an ongoing engagement with the key pulp and chemical suppliers to convince them, reduce their emissions so that we are able to procure low carbon products from our suppliers. All these achievements, all these measures were actually recognized with the CDP Climate A rating for the 4th year in a row, which shows the leadership position in this area. I also want to highlight a particular milestone that we could meet in the last year, which we see on the next slide, which is phasing out coal-based energy, referring here to the viscose facility of Lenzing in Nanjing in China. So last year, we could successfully install and commission new energy equipment to replace coal-based steam with natural gas, meaning that we have installed new equipment such as boilers and turbines, but also a pipeline that is required to actually get this fuel on the site. And by installing this equipment and replacing coal energy, we expect to reduce the emission at this site for at least 50%, which means, again, a further reduction of more than 100,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions upon the full implementation of the natural gas, which we expect by 2027. And with this, I want to give the floor back to Norma to start with another survey.
Welcome back. Thank you very much, Thomas, for this deep dive and overview on our progress on climate. You already noted in the last poll that transparency and traceability were key concerns for you, so we're very happy to be able to update you on progress we've made here as well. Before we do so, I would invite you to put any questions you might already have on the climate part in the Q&A section already now. And I would also invite you to pick up your mobile phone again or check the link section in the Q&A to provide your input on which tools and solutions you require to support your transparency and traceability journey. Again, you can see the QR code on the left-hand side. The link is provided in the Q&A section, and we are very keen to hear from you. Which tools and solutions do you require to support your transparency and traceability journey? Certifications. Anything else that comes to your mind? Answers are coming in. Scoping again is an issue. I think we had that on the last one as well. Sorry.
I think people also can think about a specific thing that they feel like specific certification as well, I suppose, which also helps to understand what is important for you.
Consistency yes, that is also something that is essential and not so easy to obtain, especially in large organizations.
Norma, we have the comment that the link didn't update. Maybe it's not clear. It's a different one now.
Yes,
For this poll.
please do use the latest link that was shared on survey question number 2. And we'll give you another couple of seconds to switch over if you've had trouble. Rules and benchmarks. Guidelines. Tracing and the supply chain and scope 3, I think, go together and show one challenge that we all face. So the supply chain is catching up with certifications, but I think both go hand in hand. And forest products have also been mentioned as an essential transparency issue. Kerstin, I think this is an area that you will also talk about in your section. So please feel free to complete your answers. Any open questions on climate transparency or traceability are very welcome in the Q&A session. And with certifications, supply chains firmly on top of our priority list, let me hand the floor to Kerstin to talk about our efforts in this space.
Thank you, Norma. Also a very warm welcome from my side. I'm happy to start off with traceability and transparency. And here with our raw material, which is wood and dissolving wood pulp. Since it's so important for us, we do have a very strict wood and pulp policy for sourcing, which means no sourcing from controversial sources from sources. And it is audited by Canopy since quite some years now. On the right-hand side, you see the status of our wood certificates. Counting all of them together, you can see that's 100% of our wood used has some kind of a certification. We rely on FSC and also PEFC. And in addition, all our production sites, as well as the Shanghai office, are as well FSC certified. On the next slide, there comes a topic which is very much related to our raw material also, which is biodiversity and our approach and action plan. We acknowledge that biodiversity is globally in a crisis, and our industry has a role to play. And therefore, we developed and are now implementing a comprehensive plan for biodiversity action. We work with guidance from leading frameworks like TNFD, which is Task Force for Nature-Related Financial Disclosure, and also SBTN, Science-Based Target for Nature, to develop an approach and to become a nature-positive business as soon as possible. This doesn't work without partnerships, as you can see on the right side, but it brings a benefit, which is recognition from outside in CDP Forest A minus rating, and also in getting the highest hot button category from Cannabis Style Initiative. Next slide, Norma. I already said partnerships are important to gain progress. This is why we are actively participating in conservation, afforestation, restoration, and reforestation projects worldwide. You here see a little list, very comprehensive. It's, I think, not the right place to go into the details, but you will be able to access our focus paper on that to get more information, and also what is behind all of those projects listed here and several others. Next slide, please. I think supplier was also mentioned in the word cloud. A topic for us also, as you can see. In preparation of CSTTT, we now already have around 60% of our global procurement spend covered with EcoVadis assessments or together for sustainability audits. We implemented a minimum EcoVadis score for our suppliers and also for the wood supply, like a code of conduct and things like this. This doesn't work without value chain risk management to find out where the hotspots might be, and also with a constant management meeting to assess and decide how to go forward. Next slide. In all of this, people and culture is not to forget. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very important topic for Lenzing. This is why we relaunched our global EDI policy in all production site languages. We again signed the UN principles, UN Women's Empowerment Principles, and there are at the moment, Krishna already mentioned it at the beginning, 3 ERGs on women, multicultural, and pride. More to come, hopefully, with whom we get insights into the needs and views of our employees. But we also do external verification with FSLM to find out possible improvement areas and maybe blind spots. And these results can be shared with our customers and value chain partners as well. Thomas, back to you on further topics on this traceability and transparency part.
Thank you, Kerstin. We're moving on to more environmental related topics of the Lenzing operations and how Lenzing is ensuring minimal adverse impacts on natural ecosystems and society from production. Most importantly, we have achieved or are well on track achieving our own defined sustainability targets, especially regarding air emissions and water emissions. This could have been made possible by making huge investments. Chris mentioned already 150 million euros investments in several facilities, mainly in the Asian facilities, to improve recovery as well as purification systems in fiber production. So therefore we could achieve our air emission target of reducing specific sulfur emissions not only by 50%, but we actually reduced by more than 80% from a 2014 baseline. All of this is happening with third-party frameworks and verifications of benchmarking tools, such as the Zero Discharge of Hazardous Chemical organization, as well as benchmarking tools like the HIC Facility Environmental Module. Which are consistently assessed and verified at the production sites. I would also like to give you another deep dive of what has happened in the last year. On the next slide, you will see that not only in the Asian plants, but also in the UK, there was a huge investment made of around 24 million euros to build a new wastewater treatment plant in the last year. The main equipment was already installed and commissioned by the end of the year. Still, a few other equipment has to be commissioned, but we will expect upon the full ramp up of this plant to have significant reduction in the water emission area, and therefore will achieve the wastewater emissions target. Eventually, and we can already move on to the next slide, all of this happens under an umbrella of a so-called life cycle thinking approach, which lead to so-called net benefit products that we are providing to the market, and under the concept of sustainable innovations. Krishna already mentioned a few examples of new products, as well as new technologies, such as waterless dyeing technology for cellulose fibers, which is also accompanied with improvement systems to optimize materials and energy consumption in the fiber production. We also participate in several research projects and try to improve in the sustainable, try to improve our understanding of how to further drive the sustainable innovations. I briefly mentioned the life cycle thinking approach with a central element of life cycle assessment that is conducted for all sites, all products, in order to evaluate the potential environmental impacts that come with the production, not only of the own operations, but of the full Lenzing fiber life cycle. On the next slide, you will see a schematic illustration of how this life cycle approach looks like, starting from sourcing of wood and other resources over pulp production to fiber production, and eventually garment and end consumer products up to the use phase and end of life. I want to show you a few examples of those net benefit products, which you can see on the next slides. In view of the time, I won't go into too much detail, but again, want to emphasize that there is a bunch of innovative products that come with positive impacts on the material level, but also technologies that will provide benefits to our downstream value chain, so to our customers, to help them avoid also emissions and other impacts in their production. So I would kindly invite you to ask and connect with your business developers in order to provide you the substantiation and evidence that you may need to also identify those impact reductions. All of this is happening with the transparent communication that we try to provide to you, as well as other traceability solutions, which are summarized on the next slides, just to give you an overview of what Lenzing is doing in order to connect with the customers and the market and provide transparent substantiation of the performance of, for example, fibers or also the technologies. So we are also cooperating with industry associations such as Textile Exchange to position Lenzing products in a preferred fiber category. We also offer you branding services to really connect with the facility that you're sourcing your fiber from, together with fiber coins, which are a blockchain based technology that already connects more than 2,000 partners. And you can see even more activities in the sustainability report. So please have a look and identify the elements and solutions that may be helpful for your operations. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to give the floor back to Noah.
Thank you very much, Kerstin and Thomas, for this tour de force through the many activities and the many areas of progress and where our efforts go. Before Krishna gives us a little summary of the key takeaways and an outlook of where Lenzing is headed in the future, again, I would like to invite you to share what your priorities are for 2025 and beyond, and also to post any questions that might have occurred to you in the Q&A session. Please be aware the QR code and the link are again new ones. The new link is again posted in the Q&A section for you to simply click on, or you can use the QR code to submit your replies. Looking forward to learning what your priorities are for 2025 and beyond. DPP, the Digital Product Passport. Regulations. Lots of regulatory change happening upon us in the next years. Roadmaps. Building roadmaps to the future, yes. supply chain management is, I think, what SCM stands for, and CO2 data are also concerns. Data for all products. SBTI evaluation. So if that means that more value chain partners are engaging and setting science-based targets, that's great news. And customer engagement is also a topic, engagement in sustainability, raw materials and material mapping. Krishna, I think a lot of this connects with the challenges we also face, right?
Absolutely, Norma. So I think colleagues are already referring to what we are planning to do. Yeah, just let's go to the next slide then to actually give a summary of the key takeaways. If when you are leaving this webinar, I would like you to remember a few things. The most important is that sustainability is integral part of Lenzing's business strategy and the governance process, and we are creating investment planning to improve our impact and serve our customers on meeting their targets. So which led to the recognition of CDP, Climate A, and also we have reduced our emissions by 11% while we are growing volumes, and we are working with our key supply chain partners who are actually helping us to achieve these emission reductions. And as my colleague Thomas and Kirsten have mentioned about transparency and traceability, it is very, very important topic for us. And we wanted to serve our customers by providing lower impact products with credible information and so that you can actually justify and even market your products in the point of sale. And sustainability is maybe a buzzword for many companies, but in our case, we wanted to walk the talk. So that actually shown by our investments with a lot of commitment, more than 200 million, especially in some parts of Asia. We also invested in Europe and many other facilities. So it's actually putting a lot of money where your mouth is. And at the same time, we are improving and innovating new products with new benefits, and all these are actually going to help you in creating products with lower impacts for you, whether it's EcoVero or Refibra with 20% recycled content. The foundation is people, and we would like to improve their working conditions and also bring the best versions of the people to the company and create a belonging. So it starts by creating this equal opportunity to all the colleagues. So we are also working on that topic. While we are doing it, we are working with you, our partners in the value chain, and collaborating with you to improve the state of the industry while keeping our leadership role in the world. So if you ask me, this is the summary of 2024 in a nutshell. And I would also like to take you after this with the outlook and what we are planning to do, as you also have said your priorities. Next slide, please. So here we mentioned some of the most important policy instruments that we are working with the European stakeholders and the policymakers. The first one is the eco design, which also includes the digital product passports, and also durability, recyclability, recycled content. All these are part of that. And we are also looking into the waste framework directive on the extended producer responsibility and the eco-modulation fee, how different products can contribute to that. And I mean, there is a lot of engagement needs to happen there. And also the regulations that talk about communicating about sustainability. I think with the current market environment, there is a lot of green hushing, but also if you wanted to be a reliable company and your brand value comes with that credibility, I think you need to also look into regulations like empowering consumers and green claims. So if you put a product for sale and on the point of sale, you might also want to convey this is sustainable or renewable and those kind of things. There are limitations coming there. Without evidences, you cannot say that. If it is a number, you need to justify the number and also provide the methodology and all the calculation behind it. So that is the green claims. So Lenzing is working with all these regulations and preparing the company internally by integrating into different functions. Our processes are being updated and those. Next slide. So yeah, at the end of the day, not only these policies, but also the roadmaps for climate, circularity, and those we are also improving and planning to improve and further enhancing transparency with different tools on social, environmental, or chemical management and those. And while we are doing that, we are reducing the footprint of our products by integrating all these activities in different functions and engaging with suppliers. And I mentioned about how important people, and we still keep doing that work, and also engage the stakeholders in the industry. So these are our agenda for 2025. I think what is very important is that I need to bring down the most important thing, that we are here to serve you, right? So the next slide also shows you what is Lenzing's contribution and solution to we see ourselves as a solution provider, right? So we ensure that through responsible sourcing and efficient and lower footprint operations and creating innovations not only for within our operational boundaries, but also looking at the value chain, whether it's dope dyed fibers or recycled content fibers or products with lower impacts than conventional alternatives. All these things come under our sustainable innovations. And we would like to do that by transparently showing you what we are able to do, at the same time having partnerships with you so that we could help you achieve your goals, at the same time help you reduce your risks in the value chain and meet all the regulations. So we are a partner and a solution providers to your challenges, and we would like to look to that journey in the future with you. With this, I would like to invite Norma for the next steps.
Thank you, Krishna. Well, this leads us directly into our Q&A session. Please feel free to add any further questions you would like our speakers to answer into the Q&A session now. I would also like to highlight again that both the presentation and the recording of the session will be made available to you afterwards. And of course, you can also find more details on all of the information that was shared in this webinar, both in our online report and in our topic focus papers that provide more detailed information on specific sustainability topics of particular importance to us. Now, as we start our Q&A session, for which we still have a couple of minutes, I would like to start us off with the question about this year's motto for our combined annual and sustainability report. You've seen it throughout the webinar. It always says, activate transformation here. Krishna, could you elaborate a little bit on why this was chosen and what this actually means?
Yeah, thank you, Norma. That's a really important question. We are also asking, what is the role of Lenzing in the industry, right? And you know, Lenzing is a raw material provider. That means we are tier 4. And you could actually design your impact by choosing the right raw materials, right? So we would like to remind you, also invite you that if you wanted to transform your products, supply chains, and even companies, you could start your transformation by partnering with us, and we would like to help you and the industry to actually address the challenges the world is facing. So that's the kind of message we wanted to give. Please work with us, and it's an invitation that we together can actually start the transformation by starting with the raw materials providers like Lenzing, us. That's our invitation to you.
Thank you. And I have a question here on our biodiversity and forestry projects. how did you choose the locations for your community forestry projects? Are these all sourcing regions? And if not, what are you doing in the sourcing regions?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a really good question, and we have looked at several things. It's not just only sourcing regions. We looked at where are the biggest hotspots for deforestation in the world? How can we change the state of that in a positive way as Lenzing? Because we look at Lenzing not only having an impact on our only value chain, which is very important, but also outside of that. So we have been sponsoring some of the projects in one of the very challenged area, Democratic Republic of Congo. And also we have invested different projects in our own value chain in Europe, but also in Brazil. And also we are working with other Baltic states and those also to improve the forestry practices as such, to improve the state of the forestry in the world. So we have been working on several projects with different criteria, but we are looking at the overall impact as Lenzing creating in the world and bring that positive impacts to the forests where we are actually sourcing our elements. I mean not where we are sourcing, but we depend on natural resources. So we wanted to ensure that there is enough buffering and protection of the natural forests and those areas. So we support those projects, yeah, all over the world.
Thank you. Anything specific you want to highlight about our own sourcing regions and operations?
I mean, we have several projects even in Austria. So there is, we're working with improving peatlands conservation here. And also there are things on bees and those. So I would really invite them to look at our conservation, our community engagement paper, where the focus paper, where you can get a overview about all the projects we are doing. Like there are a few projects that they can look at. And it's very interesting how there is a spillover effect. For example, in we are working in Albania, and we are actually not only afforesting around 20 hectares, but also we are training the local foresters who will improve the state of forest in their country, but also that region as such. So we're working with Austrian Development Agency to actually expand the scope of that project last years. So it's actually going into the plains that are next to the rivers and those which are very good hotspots for biodiversity. And so we are actually helping that project to grow with different impacts. Yeah, so there are so many things you can learn by looking at those focus papers. So I invite you. Also, my colleague mentioned about our climate action plan is also available at a very high level, how we are planning to improve things in our report. So yeah, it has a lot of information for you to gain about understanding about our work.
Yeah, thank you very much. Several of our audience members highlighted the importance of upcoming regulations. Could you comment a little bit more about what Lenzing is doing to prepare for upcoming regulations, policies, and what our position is on the upcoming Clean Industrial Deal?
Yeah, so basically what we are doing is that there are two parts. One is influencing the policymakers to create a level playing field for sustainable products. That's one thing. But the second thing is taking the policy outcomes and also whatever being enforced and bring it back to the company. For example, my colleague Kirsten mentioned about CSDDD, the supply chain due diligence regulation. And we are working with our supply chains, both from chemicals, wood and pulp suppliers. How can we actually start implementing it? So that's the kind of integration part I'm talking about. So if you look at claims also, we are working on preparing the process, preparing the systems, the data which is science-based and evidence-based. So there is a lot of work to be done. I mean, many colleagues have mentioned about data is a huge challenge, and we are also looking into that for last 15 years, actually, we are one of the first companies to provide a life cycle assessment of man-made cellulose fibers. So we are keeping that kind of legacy and trying to even improve further on getting this data, and also working with our supply chain partners on getting the right information to improve the footprints so that they get again, it's all about providing the right fact-based information. So what we do is that we are improving all these aspects for different regulations, so that we as a company are prepared enough so that we can help our customers. When there is a new regulation coming, they need to meet that requirement. We are there to serve them, and we are there to help them meet that. And we will be in time, be prepared with all the relevant regulations.
Thank you very much. I think we're almost at the end of our session. So this is the last chance for any stray questions you might still have. One issue that was also raised by the audience is the question of materials. So I just wanted to put this to you again. What is Lenzing doing in terms of next-gen materials? How is Lenzing positioning itself on the recycled content, but also other R&D efforts?
Yeah, so this is a really important topic on one hand. On the other hand, it's a really challenging topic, right? Many people talk about circularity and the importance of circular economy, and we are actually having very ambitious targets and also roadmaps to improve the recycled content. I must say, the demand in the market is not matching with the commitments and also the all the talk that we hear. So I wish there is more demand from the key customers in the industry, like brands and retailers, so that the value chain start to improve those recycled content. We don't have a level playing field, and the products are not made for circularity, right? So there is no design for circularity. So every product comes with 2 to 3 branded materials like cotton maybe, and polyester, and also coming with some elastane in most of the cases, right? But how do you actually create a fiber which is on par with the virgin quality so that it won't be affected in the downstream value chain, whether it's so. I mean, there is so much to be done in that area, whether to improve the design for circularity by the brands and retailers, but also on the other hand, you also need to look at what are the barriers for creating the circular economy system. For example, the collection, but sorting. I mean, sorting doesn't exist for recycling. It's only for reuse so far with manual labor. So we are looking at all those things wherever we can partner, wherever we can influence. But what we need is a really, really big commitment from our customers so that we can improve our products and also the content of recycle in it. So I would invite you to partner with us if you wanted to improve, and don't wait for perfect solutions. I always hear, can it be 50%? Can it be 100%? But please start with 20%. If you don't start, how can I get the innovation funnel moving to 25, 30, 35? It's not possible because we don't have endless supply of CapEx and OpEx, right? So the investments need to come by working with you and with your demand for us. So be a partner, change the transformation here, and give your support by asking for products with 20% recycled content first, and then slowly we ramp up together as an industry with our partnerships. So that is actually my plea to the people. If they really wanted to improve the circularity, they need to actually improve their own contributions as well, so that we could be partners with them. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So we had another question coming on the question of dealing with upcoming regulations, which we can maybe follow up on this explanation on upcoming innovations. Sometimes customers ask for data before regulations get passed. Will your teams be able to work with us to get detailed sourcing data before even the regulation comes into force?
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point, and we all want to be like prudent and prepared for things, right? So I really appreciate your question. And what I would say is that we are implementing things and we wanted to be prepared before the regulation comes into force. And what I would say is that please contact our business development colleague who is actually a key account manager from Lenzing towards your organization and start that conversation with that person. They will bring you to the right expert within the company. And we can also discuss how can we support you, right? So there are timelines for different regulations. So by what time we can provide what. It also gives us a really right signal that where we should also prioritize in some cases. So I would say yes, it is possible, but depending on the regulation and also what you want to get out of it. So we are preparing ourselves and our company by integrating all these aspects into different business functions. That's why we call it a partnership, and we would like to be your solution providers to all the challenges that you face in the real world right now.
Thank you very much. I think this nicely leads us over to another question. You talked a lot about the progress and achievements that we made, which are very important. But what were the biggest challenges, the biggest struggles that we dealt with also going into 2025?
I mean, to be honest, I will talk about the elephant in the room, right? So everybody wants low impact materials, low impact products, but who is going to pay for it, right? Because most of the times, the energy efficiency, the material efficiency, which are low hanging fruits, can be achieved, and you can even get some benefits back out of it, right? But the things that Lenzing is talking about, because we have done all those things several years before or decades before in so many cases, whether it's investing in getting, I mean, I think many people do not realize that Lenzing has lyocell facilities. All of them use only natural gas, no coal existing lyocell facilities for us, right? So we are actually trying to transform even those things with lower impact. I mean, that comes without having a level playing field, a lot of room for need for innovation, but also support for innovation in terms of funds, in terms of, I mean, but if I talk to our customers, I would say the support you give us and the way you actually make us as preferred fiber and preferred supplier would actually help us to go forward with that. So I would say the biggest challenge we face is definitely the required resources to implement the sustainability to take you to the next level, whether it's climate, whether it's circularity, even phasing out coal. We didn't talk about what does it really mean. I mean, we invested 20 million in Nanjing, China, for only the boiler and turbine, but also that not only that, right? We also talk about the OPEX, the cost of natural gas is much expensive than coal. Who is going to pay for that? I mean, in other facility, we have biomass facility, biomass energy, which is more than 80% for the whole lyocell facility. And actually, we wanted to improve these things, but sometimes we also get this pushback on cost neutrality. So I know this is challenging for all of us, but we need to also kind of support and like maybe long-term contracts with our suppliers like we also have should be a way to actually go forward if it's not only the amount of cost on those. So yeah, I would say these are the challenges to move the needle. You need to put the resources, you need to get the commitments from the customers, and we are looking into all these challenges one by one and trying to come up with something pragmatic by working with the policymakers. You mentioned about Norma, Clean Industrial Deal. We also expect some support from the European Commission to the companies which are hard to abate, actually chemical industries usually, because it uses more than 70-80% heating demand, where it's really difficult to find an alternative for heating or steam, right? So we are also looking into those forward-looking technologies, but we need a lot of investments and funding. So again, this is collaboration, this is partnership. So if we are being preferred by our customers, we can go that extra mile. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Krishna. I think we have managed to cover the questions, and we are almost at the end of our session. I think this would be a great opportunity for some final words before we close. And again, a very big thank you to our audience who stuck with us through the whole webinar. We were thrilled to have you with us today. Krishna, what are your closing words?
So I would like to say we will continue doing our work on improving things and provide you fact-based information and improve our innovation funnel. And we invite your collaboration and your support. And thanks for the participation. So please contact our business development team to get more details about Lenzing and Lenzing journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.